Greek yogurt in Australia is often marketed as a natural, high-protein choice. A closer look at the nutrition labels reveals that protein content can differ more than many shoppers expect, especially in low-fat and flavored varieties. In this countdown, we will examine 8 popular Greek yogurt tubs, comparing what their packaging claims to what the numbers on the label actually show. From plain, budget-friendly options to fruit-flavored tubs with higher sugar density, see how each ranks, starting with number 8. 8th place goes to Woolworth's Greek-style Natural, a 99% fat-free yogurt that sets the low-sugar benchmark in this countdown. According to the label, this plain, unflavored tub contains just 2.9 grams of sugar per 100 grams, almost all of it naturally occurring lactose from milk. A typical 125-gram serve delivers 3.6 grams of sugar and 10.8 grams of protein. The ingredient list is short and straightforward. Milk, milk solids, and live cultures. There are no added sugars, fruit purees, or thickeners. With less than 0.1 gram of fat per 100 grams, this option is both low in fat and high in protein, making it a budget-friendly choice for shoppers looking to minimize sugar intake. It provides a clear reference point for comparing higher sugar yogurts later in the countdown. Number 7 is Coles brand Greek-style Natural, a low-fat yogurt often found in the dairy aisle as a budget-friendly option. The label lists 2.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams, or 3.8 grams per typical 150-gram serve. Nearly all of this sugar comes from naturally occurring lactose in the milk, with no added sugars present. Protein content sits at 8 grams per 100 grams, providing a moderate boost for those seeking extra protein in their diet. Unlike some full-fat Greek yogurts, this low-fat version includes thickeners, specifically gelatin and pectin, to help maintain a creamy texture despite the reduced fat content. The ingredient list is longer than that of traditional plain yogurts, reflecting the need for stabilizers in low-fat products. For shoppers comparing labels, this tub demonstrates how low sugar and added texture agents often go hand in hand in reduced fat varieties. Number 6 is YoPro High Protein Greek-style Yogurt, a plain tub designed for people focused on protein intake. The packaging highlights its protein content, with the nutrition panel listing 10 grams of protein per 100 grams, among the highest in this countdown. For a typical 160-gram serve, that adds up to 16 grams of protein, making it an appealing option for gym goers and anyone seeking a protein boost. Sugar content sits at 3.1 grams per 100 grams, or 5 grams per 160-gram serve, which remains modest and in line with other plain yogurts. The ingredient list, however, reveals a different approach. Skim milk and milk protein concentrate appear first, followed by thickeners such as gar gum and pectin. These additions are used to enhance the protein content and maintain a creamy texture despite the low fat. There are no added sugars, and the label confirms that all sugars present are naturally occurring from the milk. For those comparing options, YoPro stands out for its protein density, but the use of milk protein concentrates and thickeners is something to be aware of when reading the label. Number 5 is Tamar Valley Greek-style all-natural yogurt, a plain tub that keeps things simple. The ingredient list is concise. Just milk, milk solids, and live cultures, without added sugars, thickeners, or fruit. This streamlined approach aligns with the product's all-natural positioning, appealing to people who want yogurt made from basic ingredients. On the nutrition panel, Tamar Valley lists 3.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams. For a typical 125-gram serve, that translates to 4.4 grams of sugar. These numbers reflect the naturally occurring lactose in milk, not added sweeteners. Protein content sits at 7 grams per 100 grams, providing a moderate source of protein in each serve. Compared to some of the lowest sugar yogurts earlier in the countdown, Tamar Valley's sugar is slightly higher, but it remains firmly in the plain, UN-sweetened category. This product highlights how a short ingredient list and modest sugar levels can be found together, offering a reassuring choice for those focused on natural yogurt without unnecessary extras. Number 4 is Valia Greek-style natural low-fat yogurt, a product that highlights the trade-offs often found in low-fat dairy. The label lists 3.8 grams of sugar per 100 grams, slightly higher than the plain tubs covered earlier, but still within the range expected from milk's natural lactose. For a typical 170-gram serve, the sugar content rises to 6.5 grams. Protein comes in at 7.5 grams per 100 grams, offering a moderate amount for those seeking a protein boost. The ingredients list is longer than most plain yogurts, reflecting the adjustments needed to maintain texture and mouthfeel after removing fat. Alongside skim milk and milk protein concentrate, the label lists inulin, a form of added fiber, and pectin, a common thickener. These additions help create a creamy consistency, but they also signal that low-fat yogurt often relies on extra stabilizers and fibers. There are no added sugars or fruit purees, but the presence of these additives is worth noting for those who prefer simpler ingredient lists. Valia's profile marks the upper end of sugar among the plain and low-fat yogurts, before the more pronounced jump seen in fruit-sweetened or flavored varieties. Number 3 is Black Swan low-fat Greek-style yogurt, fruit on the bottom. This product marks a noticeable shift in sugar content compared to the plain and low-fat options seen earlier. The label reveals 8.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams, with a typical 150-gram serve containing 12.8 grams of sugar. This increase is primarily due to the addition of a fruit puree layer, which accounts for around 15% of the tube's contents and is listed alongside added sugar in the ingredients. The sugar density here is significantly higher than in plain Greek yogurt, where nearly all sugar comes from naturally occurring lactose. Protein remains strong at 8.9 grams per 100 grams, but the presence of both fruit puree and added sugar is something to be aware of for those monitoring sugar intake. This is the first example in the countdown where the sugar per 100 grams exceeds 8 grams, illustrating how fruit on the bottom and flavored varieties can quickly move beyond the levels found in unsweetened tubs. For shoppers comparing labels, this product highlights the impact that added fruit and sweeteners can have on the overall nutrition profile. Number 2 is Jalna Greek yogurt, the flavored variant. This product blends the thick, creamy texture associated with Greek yogurt with added sweetness from fruit and sugar. The label lists 10 grams of sugar per 100 grams, making it one of the highest sugar densities in this countdown. For a typical 150-gram serve, that translates to 15 grams of sugar, well above the levels found in plain or low-fat natural tubs. Protein content remains strong at 8.8 grams per 100 grams, which may appeal to those seeking a protein boost. However, the ingredient list shows fruit concentrate and added sugar near the top by weight, indicating these are primary contributors to the overall sugar content. While the tub carries familiar Greek branding and often promotes live cultures and natural ingredients, the elevated sugar is something to be aware of for shoppers comparing options. This example highlights how flavored Greek yogurts can deliver as much as 3 times the sugar of plain varieties, even when protein remains relatively high. For anyone aiming to limit added sugars, check the back panel closely, because front-of-pack claims may not reflect the full nutrition profile. And finally, in first place is Chobani Greek yogurt, in its strawberry-flavored variant, which stands out for its high sugar density among the products examined. According to the label, this tub contains 11.5 grams of sugar per 100 grams, more than triple the amount found in most plain Greek yogurts. For a standard 160-gram serve, the sugar content rises to 18.4 grams, a figure that may surprise shoppers expecting a healthier profile from a Greek yogurt. The ingredient list provides important context. After milk and strawberry puree, sugar is listed as the 3rd ingredient by weight, signaling a significant contribution to the overall sweetness. Additional thickeners such as rice starch and various gums are included to maintain the product's creamy texture. The label also notes the use of natural flavors and acidity regulators, which are common in flavored dairy products. Protein content remains strong at 8.6 grams per 100 grams, consistent with the high protein reputation of Greek yogurt. However, the elevated sugar level is something to be aware of, especially for those comparing flavored options to plain varieties. This product demonstrates how added sugar and fruit puree can quickly increase the sugar density, even in brands marketed as healthy. For anyone monitoring their sugar intake, this example reinforces the value of checking both the per 100 gram figures and the ingredient order on the label before making a choice. Across all 8 products, one pattern stands out. Plain Greek yogurts consistently show lower sugar content, while flavored or low-fat options often contain higher sugar densities than many people realize. In this category, informed choices start with the back label, not the front. Always check the label because the front of the tub does not tell the full story.
Most Australians assume that when they buy extra virgin olive oil, they are getting a pure, high-quality product. But once you start reading the fine print on supermarket shelves, the differences between bottles become surprisingly significant. Some list harvest dates, some do not. Some clearly state country of origin. Others are vague, and those small details can change what you are actually paying for. By the end of this video, viewers should feel compelled to check the bottle currently in their pantry. In 10th place, Pompeian olive oil stands out for its clear glass bottle and a broad origin statement. The label often reads United States and EU blend, with no harvest date printed anywhere on the packaging. This combination makes it difficult for shoppers to know where the oil was produced or how fresh it might be. The see-through bottle allows light to reach the oil, which can accelerate oxidation and reduce both flavour and potential health benefits over time. This affects the freshness of the oil. With a typical price below $12 per litre, Pompeian appeals to budget-conscious buyers. But the lack of harvest information and precise origin details means there is little to help consumers judge quality at a glance. These factors place Pompeian at the lower end of the transparency scale, and they serve as a clear example of how packaging and vague sourcing can leave important questions unanswered. Number 9. Bertolli olive oil presents a classic Italian identity, with labels and branding that evoke old-world tradition and Mediterranean quality. Yet a closer look at the bottle tells a different story. The fine print often reveals a blend of oils from several European Union countries, not a single Italian source. The packaging typically uses lighter glass, which, while visually appealing, offers little protection from light exposure. Harvest or pressing dates are absent, making it difficult to judge how fresh the oil actually is. Priced around $17 per litre, Bertolli positions itself as a premium option, but the lack of clear origin and date information places it at odds with its heritage-focused marketing. This contrast between the front label and the ingredients panel highlights how familiar branding can sometimes mask the realities of global sourcing. In 8th place, Moro olive oil brings a Spanish touch to Australian supermarket shelves, with branding that leans heavily on Mediterranean heritage. Yet, a closer look at the label tells a more complex story. The back panel typically declares an EU blend, meaning the oil could come from any number of European countries, not just Spain. There is no harvest date printed, so the actual age of the oil remains uncertain. Moro bottles often use semi-clear glass, which lets in more light than ideal, and may speed up the loss of flavour and antioxidants. Priced around $13 per litre, Moro sits in the mid-range, but the lack of single harvest details and precise origin information makes it difficult for shoppers to judge quality. This combination of national imagery and multi-country sourcing highlights how branding can sometimes create expectations that the label itself does not fully support. Number 7. Coles house brand olive oil sits on supermarket shelves in a clear plastic bottle, marked with the phrase "packed in Australia." This wording signals that the oil itself is imported in bulk, often as an EU blend from countries like Spain, Greece, or Tunisia, then bottled locally. While the label's candor about packing location is a step toward transparency, it leaves the original source and harvest timing of the olives unresolved. No harvest date appears on the bottle, so there is no easy way to judge how fresh the oil might be. Priced around $9 per litre, this house brand appeals to value-focused shoppers, but the combination of clear plastic packaging and limited origin detail means the oil is more exposed to light and its story remains incomplete. For those seeking traceability or freshness cues, these omissions are worth noting. Number 6. Woolworths Essentials olive oil follows a similar pattern found in many private label supermarket brands. The label typically indicates a blend sourced from multiple European countries, but it does not specify which countries and it does not give a harvest date. The oil is packaged in a clear plastic jug, which offers little protection from light exposure and can accelerate the loss of flavour and antioxidants over time. Priced around $9.50 per litre, this bulk option appeals to shoppers looking for affordability, yet the trade-off is a lack of detailed information about where the olives were grown or when the oil was pressed. The combination of generic EU blend wording and clear packaging means shoppers get minimal clues about freshness or quality. For those seeking more transparency or traceability, these omissions are worth considering before placing this bottle in the trolley. Number 5. Loopy olive oil brings a new layer of complexity to the question of label transparency. On supermarket shelves, the bottle often states EU blend or packed in Australia from imported ingredients, but a quick search of retailer websites can reveal different wording, sometimes emphasising European origin and other times highlighting the Australian packing process. This inconsistency between what is printed on the bottle and what appears online makes it harder for shoppers to confirm exactly where the oil comes from or how it has been handled. The oil is typically packaged in a clear plastic bottle, offering little protection from light, which may accelerate the loss of flavour and nutrients. Priced around $11 per litre, Loopy sits in the mid-range, but the shifting details between shelf and screen serve as a reminder to double-check both the physical label and the online listing before deciding what to bring home. Number 4. Filippo Berio olive oil occupies a prominent spot on supermarket shelves, often positioned as a premium import, with a price tag close to $20 for a 750 milliliter bottle. The branding draws on an Italian legacy, yet the label typically lists a blend of oils from multiple European Union countries rather than a single source. The packaging, while more refined than budget blends, often uses lighter glass that does little to protect the oil from light exposure. Shoppers searching for harvest dates or pressing information will find none, leaving the actual age and freshness of the oil uncertain. For a product marketed at a higher price point, the absence of clear origin and harvest details stands out, especially as these are the very cues that help consumers judge quality and value. This gap between premium branding and transparency on the bottle is a detail worth noting when considering what to bring home. Number 3. Cobra Estate Light brings a different angle to the olive oil aisle. Unlike the brand's flagship extra virgin range, this light variant is a refined oil, not extra virgin. The term light refers to a milder flavour, achieved by processing that strips out much of the oil's natural aroma and colour. This also means lower polyphenol content and a higher allowable acidity, so it does not meet the strict standards for extra virgin olive oil. Some bottles in this range include a harvest or best before date, which offers more transparency than many imports, but the packaging is often clear glass. That leaves the oil more vulnerable to light, which can speed up the loss of freshness and antioxidants. Priced around $15 per litre, Cobra Estate Light is positioned as a domestic option, but its chemical profile and packaging set it apart from true extra virgin oils. For shoppers seeking the health and flavour benefits of fresh, unrefined olive oil, understanding the difference between light and extra virgin is essential. Number 2, praise. Olive oil is a fixture in the budget aisle, offering one of the lowest price points in Australian supermarkets, often around $8 to $10 per litre. The label is direct about its status as an imported blend, but it stops short of naming any specific countries or regions. There is no harvest date printed, so shoppers have no easy way to judge how fresh the oil might be. Packaging comes in a clear plastic bottle, which does little to shield the oil from light and can accelerate the loss of flavor and antioxidants over time. For those looking to stretch their grocery budget, the appeal is clear, but the trade-off is minimal traceability, and there is little on the label to help consumers understand where the oil was produced, when it was pressed, or how it has been handled on its journey to the shelf. This price transparency trade-off is worth considering before reaching for the lowest cost option. And finally, in first place, Olivani olive oil offers a glimpse of what greater label transparency can look like on supermarket shelves. The bottle often features clearer origin wording, specifying the European Union as the source, which gives shoppers a more concrete sense of where the oil comes from. Many Olivani bottles are made from darker glass, a choice that helps protect the oil from light exposure and slow the loss of flavor and antioxidants. Priced around $12 per litre, Olivani remains accessible while providing better packaging cues than most blends in this price range. Still, the absence of a harvest date means the exact age of the oil remains unknown. For shoppers seeking a balance between affordability and clearer information, Olivani stands out as a step in the right direction. It is proof that incremental improvements in labeling and packaging can make a meaningful difference at the checkout. Across all 10 entries, one pattern stands out. Label transparency matters more than brand or price. Details like harvest dates, single origins, and packaging clarity make a real difference. In Australia's olive oil aisles, informed choices start with what is written on the bottle. The fine print is your best guide.